Imagine waking up tomorrow, going about your normal morning routine, pouring your coffee, and having absolutely no idea that the very engine of our planet has just shut down. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a journey 4,000 miles deep underground to explore a truly mind-bending what-if scenario. We almost never think about the massive, dynamic world working silently beneath our feet every single second of every day, yet it's literally what makes all life on our planet possible. So what would actually happen if it just stopped? Let's find out.
You really have to think about the sheer scale of this. Deep beneath your feet, something roughly the size of the moon and literally as hot as the surface of the sun suddenly halts. And you know what the most terrifying part is? At first, you wouldn't see a single thing change. You wouldn't hear a massive grinding noise. You wouldn't feel a sudden catastrophic jolt. It would be an entirely invisible, totally silent event on the surface. The morning birds would still sing, the oceans would still have tides, and the sun would keep shining. But within days, strange things would begin happening all over Earth as the unseen consequences bubble up to our level.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Could humanity actually survive an invisible event like this? It's a massive, dramatic thought. And you're absolutely going to want to stick around for this entire explainer. Because as we trace the domino effect of this disaster, the final, long-term consequence is without a doubt the biggest threat to life on Earth.
Okay, let's dive into this. First up, inside our planet's engine.
To really understand the disaster, we have to look at the incredibly complex layers right beneath our feet. As you can see broken down here, we live way out on the edge, on the thin, fragile crust. Right beneath that is the thick, rocky mantle, which makes up most of Earth's volume. But the real magic? That happens in the two core layers. There's the outer core, which is made of this incredibly hot, liquid, molten metal, and right in the very center is the inner core, a solid ball of iron crushed under just immense pressure. That crucial difference, the intensely hot, liquid outer layer constantly swirling and churning around the solid inner layer, is literally the key to everything. Because all that molten metal is constantly moving, rising, and swirling around due to the Earth's rotation and escaping heat, it acts just like a massive electric generator. This movement creates something absolutely vital: Earth's magnetic field. You can think of the magnetic field as an immense, invisible force field extending thousands of miles out into space, wrapping entirely around our planet. As long as that liquid metal keeps swirling, the planetary engine stays on, and our invisible shield stays up. But what if this movement suddenly changed?
That takes us right into our next phase. The magnetic shield drops.
Now, this isn't a Hollywood movie where everything just explodes in 5 seconds. On day one, you and I on the surface wouldn't notice a thing. That's because Earth's crust holds on to what scientists call residual magnetism. The rocks themselves essentially act like tiny fading batteries. But months later, our protective magnetic shield would begin to significantly weaken as that leftover charge just completely fades out. And years later, as the field completely collapses, we'd start seeing major, life-threatening changes to our atmosphere. It's the kind of danger that creeps up on you slowly and then happens all at once.
And here is exactly why that shield dropping is so incredibly dangerous. A normal Earth perfectly deflects these dangerous, highly energized, charged particles that are constantly shooting at us from the sun, what we call the solar wind. But with the core stopped, the shield drops, and our planet gets absolutely bombarded by that solar radiation. The very first victims of this wouldn't even be on the ground. They'd be our infrastructure up in space. Satellites and astronauts would suddenly face massive, life-threatening spikes in radiation without Earth's magnetic umbrella to protect them. So with our satellites getting systematically fried by solar particles, we have to ask ourselves, could modern life even continue without these systems? Seriously, just think about everything you use in a single day that relies on the technology floating above our heads. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it shows exactly what a world without technology looks like. We feel so disconnected from the molten iron spinning thousands of miles below us, yet this rapid-fire list of failing systems proves just how incredibly fragile our modern, high-tech world actually is. If solar radiation bombards us, it's literally lights out. GPS goes down, meaning no map apps on your phone, and major global shipping logistics just instantly collapse. Satellites are fried, completely scrambling global communications. But the real nightmare happens right here on the ground. Massive solar storms would induce wild, unpredictable electrical currents in the Earth, a crazy phenomenon known as geomagnetically induced currents. These massive surges would travel right up through our infrastructure, overloading and melting down global power grids, plunging entire cities into darkness. Airplane navigation systems would fail. Space missions are instantly grounded or destroyed.
It would be a sudden, terrifying plunge straight into a technological dark age.
Okay, so human civilization is thrown into absolute chaos because we lose our gadgets and our power grids melt down. But what happens to the animals? I mean, they don't exactly need GPS on a smartphone to get around, right? Well, it turns out the natural world relies on the core's engine just as much as we do, if not significantly more.
Which leads us to nature in chaos. Without the magnetic field, we would witness a heartbreaking natural disaster unfold across the globe. You see, many animals possess a biological sixth sense called magnetoreception. It's basically a built-in compass that literally reads Earth's magnetic field to help them navigate. First, migrating birds who travel thousands of miles using this invisible map would suddenly get entirely lost, flying in the wrong directions and completely failing to reach warmer climates or breeding grounds. Next, sea turtles and whales would lose their navigation in the vast featureless oceans, totally unable to find their traditional feeding grounds. Because these species are so absolutely crucial to the habitats they live in, their inability to navigate would cause entire food chains and ecosystems to shift, fail, and eventually just collapse.
And then we reach the final, most terrifying effect I teased at the very beginning. Over millions of years, the relentless solar wind wouldn't just fry our technology, it would literally blow our atmosphere away into space. The very air we breathe would decay and be totally stripped from the planet. Without an atmosphere, the oceans would boil away, and Earth would eventually become a barren, irradiated rock. If you want to know exactly what this looks like, you don't have to look far. Just look at Mars. Billions of years ago, Mars actually used to have a swirling molten core, a strong magnetic field, and a thick atmosphere with liquid water. But because it's a smaller planet, its core eventually cooled down and stopped. Its shield dropped, and the sun stripped it into the lifeless, irradiated wasteland we see today.
Facing a decaying atmosphere, humanity would be on a ticking clock. Could scientists actually fix it before Earth becomes completely unlivable? You have to imagine human ingenuity just kicking into overdrive here. Maybe we'd have to build massive artificial magnetic shields in space to block the sun's particles. Or maybe we'd be forced to retreat into deep, shielded underground bunkers, just hoping to survive the radiation. Suddenly, that sci-fi dream of buying a one-way ticket to Mars doesn't seem so helpful since, well, it already has this exact problem.
Let's look at the big question. Could this actually happen?
So, let's bring it all back down to reality for a second. The crucial point is that the probability of this happening to Earth anytime soon is exactly 0%. The physics of how massive planets form, the immense, unimaginable heat trapped inside from the Earth's violent creation, and the sheer physical momentum of all that spinning, liquid mass means our silent planetary engine isn't going to just shut off tomorrow. It is incredibly stable. It's fully expected to keep swirling, spinning, and safely protecting us for billions of years to come. But even though it won't happen, exploring this scenario teaches us so much about how connected everything is. From the deepest, hottest liquid metals, to the migrating birds in the sky, all the way to the glowing phones in our pockets. We literally owe our entire existence to a silent, unseen dynamo. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder today. Do you think humanity could pull together and use technology to survive if Earth's core ever did stop spinning? Or would the loss of our magnetic shield just be way too much to overcome? Thank you so much for exploring the science with me today, and keep asking those big questions.